Wake up, YouTube, and welcome to another OU Showdown match by me, Hunter. And since Pokemon Showdown is down right now, I decided to dig through my replays and pick out a match that I had actually a while back. As you can see, my team is different from the OU team I usually have. This team is centered around a Mega-Ampharos sweep. So, let's just start the match. I lead off with my Korrokodile, which is just my standard shady Korrokodile. Try to get some Stealth Rocks up. But he has a Venusaur, which can go for the Giga Drain, so I decided to switch out into Kyurem as he Mega Evolves. And then he uses Leech Seed, which I should have saw coming, but I didn't want to leave my Korrokodile in on a Venusaur where it could just get a special attack off. So I decided to bring in Kyurem, do some damage. This Kyurem is actually a substitute 3 attacks Kyurem. So he ends up bringing in Umbreon to tank any special attacks I have, which is a problem. So I switch back into Shady, and we have some Dark type on Dark type action here. So then he actually goes for the Wish and brings in Donphan because he predicts the Stealth Rock, which I end up going for. So now he can go for his own Stealth Rocks and then Rapid Spin away mine, which is a little bit of a problem for me. So I decided to go for knock off whatever items on Donphan in case it's the lefties. So over time throughout this battle, I can just chip it down. Then I decided to bring in Azumaril as he Rapid Spins, maybe get a Waterfall off, maybe kill Donphan. As I go for Waterfall, he ends up bringing in Venusaur Mega, which tanks that really nicely. This Venusaur is actually a defensive Venusaur, as you'll see later in the match. He uses Synthesis. So this Venusaur is meant to, on his team, form a core with Umbreon, where Venusaur will tank a lot of attacks from things like Azumaril, and Umbreon will tank a lot of attacks from stuff like Kyurem. The two of them actually complement each other really nicely, and they're a big pain for me to get through in this battle. I just went for Rapid Spin to clean the rocks off my team as I bring in Kyurem now, trying to see what he's going to do. Since this Kyurem is substitute 3 attacks, I decided to go for a substitute, but he's smart. He uses Foul Play. I thought he would maybe switch out to let the Wish heal something else on his team, and now I'm a little bit of a problem, so I decided to switch back into Shady, who is actually one of the switches I have in on Umbreon, since Foul Play does so little. Umbreon is going to be actually a problem this match since it has leftovers and Wish. So I just want to see if I can do as much damage as possible, maybe go for a knockoff. However, he then brings in his Venusaur to take the Earthquake actually quite nicely. So now since no rocks are up, I can bring in Thundurus as he goes for Synthesis. Like I said, this Venusaur is really tanky. And we're back to square one. Neither of us have rocks up, and his Venusaur and Umbreon both have like no damage whatsoever. I have Thundurus actually sacrifice half its health to go for a Thunder Wave, because if I want to break through Umbreon, a little bit of hacks is going to help me. I didn't really care about the speed drop. It's an Umbreon. Its speed is already like negative, so I don't need to outspeed it. But a little bit of hacks is always helpful. As then I use this opportunity to get my rocks off as he brings in Venusaur. Every time I bring up my rocks, he's forced to bring in Donphan to try to spin it away. And every time I switch Kyurem into Venusaur, or I switch Azumaril into Umbreon, he's forced to bring in Venusaur or Umbreon. As you can see, I switched Kyurem into Venusaur as he brings in Umbreon. So now, notice how Umbreon only takes like 24% from Kyurem's Ice Beam. And at this point, I was getting a little bit frustrated. I hoped since pretty much I needed to break through Umbreon, I was hoping that since Paralysis has a 1/4 chance to incapacitate him, if I could maybe get 2 to 3 Paralyses in a row, or just 1 Paralysis and a crit, I'd be able to break through Umbreon, and I actually bring it down to 5% on a turn it's paralyzed, but he had used Wish the turn before, which is a little bit of a shame. So now, I tried this strategy a little bit more, but as you can see, probability plays out. The chance of that happening is really low, and if you play safely, he can just use Heal Bell, use Wish a bunch of times. This was actually really risky for him because the odds that I would get a crit were really big, and if I had gotten a crit, then his Umbreon would have just not been able to take 2 of my Ice Beams in a row. However, there is no crit, and I decided to bring in Tentacruel. Since I noticed that the leftovers are going to be a lot of a problem, I decided to see if I can go for a knockoff and actually get rid of the leftovers on Umbreon. With the leftovers down, Umbreon's only recovery is Wish, and this sort of lets a game plan form in my mind. If Umbreon's only recovery is Wish, and Wish is a 2-turn recovery move. If I can get Umbreon to the point in HP where it cannot use Wish because it's going to get 2-hit KO'd, then I'll have essentially beaten Umbreon. He won't be able to switch it in, and I'll have broken through his core. So I decide to sack Shady to a Staraptor, as I decide to sort of set this new plan in motion. Weaken Umbreon to the point where it cannot use Wish without fear of dying, and once it reaches that point, since he can no longer bring in Umbreon and get through his team. So he brought in Umbreon as I went for Ice Beam, and he's gonna use Wish again here. However, I now have Azumaril. So because I have Azumaril, he's forced to bring in Venusaur. And since he's forced to bring in Venusaur, the Wish that would have healed Umbreon does not heal Venusaur. And this is pretty critical, actually. Because his Umbreon did not have Protect, because his Umbreon could not use Wish and then heal itself, every time he goes for Wish, if I put up the offensive pressure, his Umbreon will not be able to get healed, and therefore, I'll eventually wear it down. So now he brings Umbreon back in as I go for Ice Beam, and since Ice Beam will kill it since it doesn't have leftovers, Umbreon cannot use Wish. So he switches out Umbreon, and right now the counter starts ticking down, because now he no longer has a safe switch into my Kyurem. Anything he wants to switch into my Kyurem, you see, it even does 32% with a not very effective Ice Beam. And Umbreon won't be tanking Kyurem's attacks any longer. So I decided to switch Kyurem out, knowing that since Umbreon is weakened, I can save it for a late game where it can sweep the opponent's team and bring in Snape to tank whatever this Arcanine wants to do. Close combat doesn't do any damage whatsoever. So now he brings back in Staraptor as I go for Scald. And I was actually aiming for the Arcanine, but I killed the Staraptor. He's now down a Pokemon. So now he brings in Talonflame, trying to get as much damage off on Tentacruel as possible so that Umbreon can come in and maybe get a heal off. But Tentacruel just takes that like a boss and kills Talonflame. So now he's really getting desperate at this point because his Umbreon really needs to get healed. However, Scald just does a quick 9% and now his Umbreon's dead. And at this point, the game is really in my favor because I have Rocks up, and more importantly, he has no answer for my Kyurem. So because of this, I don't want Kyurem taking any damage as I switch in. So I decide to just sack my Tentacruel, let it hurt Venusaur through Liquid Ooze and through Scald, hopefully get a burn off, and just do as much damage as possible without while sacking it to allow me to bring in Kyurem as a switch in. So now that Venusaur is down, I was thinking of bringing in Kyurem, but I decided to just sweep it with Ampharos and hopefully get a sweep going. However, I did forget at this point that he had Donphan, so Kyurem would have been a smarter move. So I know, however, Thundurus can take the predicted Earthquake. Usually Donphans only have one attack that can hurt Thundurus, which is Earthquake. So Thundurus can come in, Earthquake obviously doesn't affect it, and 2-hit KO it with Hidden Power. So now the only thing left on his team is Arcanine, which will not be able to 0-hit KO my Thundurus with Extreme Speed, and I will be able to kill it with Thunderbolt. So, good game, Hitsui. Great combination between Umbreon and Venusaur. If you guys are looking for cores, Mega Venusaur and Umbreon is a really solid core, and if you play with it, add some support, like hazard support, like he has with this Donphan, it will, I guess, get you places. It will be really successful. So like always, if you like this battle, go ahead, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.